and welcome to another episode of the podcast of Firetop Mountain. In this podcast, we go through fighting fantasy books and discuss them and tell you what we think of them.
The very best fighting fantasy books, apparently.
Well, possibly, yes, according to some people.
Well, according to you, because I don't know what happened this week.
Well, okay.
You like this week's one. I did not.
I do. I admit it's got some shortcomings, but I think it's better than what most people say about it. That's my opinion.
Well, we'll give it a good shake this week and see if maybe you can change my mind. Do you want to tell people who you are and who I am?
Yes, that's a good idea. So my name is Stuart Lloyd. And I write for the Lloyd of Gamebooks blog, and I make various game books. And I'm joined with the wonderful.
Yes, you are. Well, you're joined with the wonderful. I don't know about that, but you're joined with Alison Cybe. I don't know if I'd count as the wonderful. Writer on the roleplay game industry, having written for games including Starfinder and Vampire the Masquerade.
Brilliant. Yeah. So. I think we should talk about which book we're doing today, which was my choice.
Yes.
And the book we're doing
today is yours to be blamed for.
Yes, definitely right to be blamed for. I'm sorry for the lost couple of hours you had. It is Fighting Fantasy 12 Space Assassin.
Yes, you are an assassin. You're in space. Exactly.
Although it's a bit of a misnomer because the person you're sent to get... you don't have to assassinate them.
You don't?
So
I don't know.
Yes.
I never got that far.
Well, yes. I mean, there are some. This book, it's got a special place in my heart. It's my second fighting fantasy book, and I have read the most reviews online of it, and a lot of them don't say nice things about it. I'm going to try and defend some bits of it, and I'm going to admit there are some bits of it I can't defend, and one of them is the misnomer of the title, which is the fact that you are in space, so they get half of it right, but you don't actually assassinate your target. So
I seem to remember that one of those reviews that wasn't so kind was my own.
Well, yes, that's true. Yeah.
I will give it this. I did like the illustrations in this one. I thought they were very cool. There were a lot of eyes.
Yes, there were a lot of eyes. Yes, I'm just looking. Yes, there's a big box full of squirrels with lots of big eyes. I didn't notice the eyes. I've not. That is a good point.
I don't know. I just found that jumped out at me. It's like all of the fighting fantasy books have little inked illustrations, just little pictures on every page or so, every other page. Usually they're very nice, very evocative, and kind of capture the feel for it. For this one, I found a lot of eyes, which is quite creepy. It would work well in one of the horror ones.
That is true. Yes, I see what you're saying now. Yes, one of the sort of little illustrations. I don't know whose eyes they are. They're not human by the looks of them.
They're the eyes of the ones who are looking for you as you stealth by in an assassinly way.
Exactly. They're always watching in this spaceship. Well, someone's watching. As we'll get to, some of the security guards are not watching you; they're watching the football. So yes, which they're the ones on the cover. Actually, if you look in the background, that you'll see some kind of space football going on.
Space football.
Yes.
For the space assassin.
Exactly.
I did enjoy the actual character creation in this one. You do your stats for the character. And then you have a couple of additional ones. You've got similar to House of Hell, which we discussed last week. You've got additional ones, and this one gave you armor.
Yes,
so you're
true.
Assassin the armor, which you get a number on, and my number was the mighty and powerful number 7.
Ah, yes, the lucky number 7, I guess.
Yeah, remind me what the maximum is.
12.
Yeah. My armor's basically a wet paper bag.
Yes. It's it won't stand up to the lasers and various things.
It wouldn't stand up to an angry squirrel.
No, and there is an angry squirrel in this book as well, actually. So
yes. How did you do with your rolls for the armor? Better?
Yeah, my armor was decent. It was 10 to start with, my skill was a bit horrible on the first one. It's 7, which will lead to something about the book that can get a bit tedious if your skill is low. But we can talk about the next thing, which helps actually improve your armor if you roll high on this one, which you start with some money, and you have some choice over your equipment before you even start.
Yes, which I do like. It reminds me of some of the other Final Fantasy books. I remember, was it Forest of Doom? You could pick a few magical items.
Yes. So yes, you get 30 gold pieces off Big Leg before he dies, and then you can spend all your money at Yaztramo's tower, which will help you through the forest. So
that's in Forest of Doom, not in Space Assassin.
No, exactly. It would be fun if it was in Space Assassin as well, if Yaztramo popped up. But
I mean, if you're playing Spectral Stalkers, that's always a possibility.
Yes, that would be. We could. Yes, if that would be an awesome fighting fantasy book where you just jump between fighting fantasy books. You just sort of pop up at the inopportune moments.
This is all something that you can write, by the way. I'm just saying.
That's true. I could do that. Yes, that'd be a big fan thing. Yes, you sort of just pop up in Firetop Mountain, just in front of the Warlock. Just as he's getting ready to face the adventure, and then just disappear, and then pop up in Space Assassin. Yeah.
I think we've invented a better fighting fantasy book than Space Assassin.
That is true. Yeah.
What items did you buy on your way to the mission? And we'll tell people what the mission is.
Okay. In my first go out of 3, I bought an electric lash and a gravity bomb, because I know the gravity bomb has lots of uses. So that was yes. So what about you? What did you buy?
I stocked up with an assault rifle type of weapon. I'm not 100% what the name of it was. I've just written assault rifle here, and
it's assault blaster.
Is it?
Yes. Yeah.
And a bunch of grenades.
Yes, they're very useful. So that's good. Yes. Yes, especially if you get multiple opponents, which there's a couple of encounters where having a grenade is the best option. Yes. Excellent. Yeah. So so should we get on to the mission?
Yes. What are our assassins sent out to do?
Well, you're sent out to find Cyrus. He's a scientist,
or a necromancer.
Or a necromancer. Yes, because as a lot of people online have said, and I'm not going to argue with them, this is basically a dungeon crawl in space, a space dungeon crawl.
A spaceship dungeon crawl.
Exactly.
He's been sending out his army of killer undead mutant skeletons to various village planets in the area.
Yes, exactly. And people are sick of this, and they've hired you to not assassinate him, to bring him to justice. And he's flying around on his giant spaceship, the Van der Vecken, and we'll find out why it's giant in a bit, because you can see a lot of it.
Because it's basically a dungeon.
It is basically a dungeon, yes.
That's why it's so big.
Exactly, it's a space dungeon. Yes, we can just put the word space in front of everything and just turn it into yes, and then hope that people will think that the sci-fi thing is going to sink in. Which yes, there we go.
All the people that are listening to our space podcast.
Exactly. Everything's better in space. So there we go. So yes. Although at this point, I'm going to say that the fact that it's a dungeon crawl doesn't necessarily make it bad.
No, that is true. That is true.
There are good dungeon crawls.
Desert Dungeon being just one of the best.
Exactly. So yes, but yes, not in space. But there we go. So So you have to go and capture Cyrus in his Van der Vecken, his big spaceship, and you go aboard the ship supply shuttle. So there we go. Yes, because he wants to. He's going a bit too far now. I mean, capturing people and using them in experiments is already going too far, but he's going even further. He wants to shower an entire planet in radioactive isotopes and viruses, just to see what happens. Yeah,
both,
I know.
Possibly at the same time, or maybe was it one and then the other?
He'll cover the surface of the planet with radioactive isotopes while showering deadly viruses upon all living creatures.
See, I'm not sure what that would actually do.
Well, according to the fact that they're deadly viruses, I assume it would kill everybody. So it doesn't sound like he needs to do this experiment. I think it's already sorted. I think he's just wasting his time now. Basically.
I think so, yeah. I mean, to be fair, he is an evil scientist. He's probably needs to find some way to justify the funding.
Exactly. Yes. Well, yeah. Yes, exactly. Writing those proposals isn't easy. So there we go.
Goes to the Science Council. Look, I've definitely discovered something. This planet is now dead. I've done well. I need 50,000 credits.
Exactly. So he can go on to his next experiment. It's either publish or perish in science. That's what I've heard. So.
Yes. So we begin our adventure by smuggling ourselves into Silas's spaceship while it is refueling, I believe.
Yes, exactly. Yes, and so you end up giving some choice of doors, like a dungeon crawl, or looking through some refuse. Which I realised through my playthroughs, which I haven't played through for a while, so I couldn't remember. I immediately used a gravity bomb on the security door, and then ended up in a fight with a robot.
Oh dear.
Well,
I managed to sneak aboard without any problems whatsoever.
Ah, excellent. That's
but
good.
you managed to get into a fight straight away.
I did, yes. And then I later realised that if I'd walked around the corridor, I could have ended up in that room anyway. So I kind of wasted my gravity bomb. The robot is a bit weaker presumably because of the gravity bomb. It was only skill 5, stamina 5. Most of the opponents are quite weak, so I had to fight it with range combat. Which reminds me, because not all of the combat in Space Assassin is resolved the same way as in most fighting fantasy books. So this was a gunfight where you have to roll under your skill to hit your opponent, and then your opponent has to roll under their skill to hit you. But if you manage to roll equal to or less than your armor, then you don't take any damage from that hit if they hit you. So that's good. But then you lose an armor point. So it kind of gets more and more useless as you get hit more.
See, I'll give it full credit for that. That is something that I did quite enjoy. That I did quite like.
Yes, it is good. With a skill of 7, it gets a bit tedious, and a skill of 5 because you're basically just missing each other a lot. But yes, it was. I'm glad you like that, because I like that too. Because Andrew Chapman, who wrote it, had obviously thought that you can't just resolve gun combat in the same way as hand-to-hand combat. So, but yeah, and
I think it works well. That was full hands up. I think that was very positive.
So oh brilliant, hooray, I've got a positive from some. I've got a positive from all that.
So far we're on 1 point, so
yeah woo. So you went through without any trouble. So when was your first spot of trouble then on the Van der Vecken?
Well, I managed to sneak my way through one of the external airlocks, and that deposited me into an area of the ship I had no idea where it was, and I almost immediately stumbled over the body of a dead alien creature. I still to this day don't know what that creature was, but it seemed to be clutching a button of some sort. The item was. It looked like it was like part of an item. The book kind of hinted that it was incomplete. That you need to like take that button and attach it to something else. So I've just written on my notes in the inventory alien button.
Yes. Yeah, and it's not just to keep its clothes on, its shirt on. It's one you press. So, well, this brings me. Well, it's good that you found that, because I expect you didn't find the other half because it's hidden very well.
No, I had no idea what it was meant to attach to. Is that something you found?
I didn't find on this playthrough, but I know what it's for. It's called a pan-dimensional homing device, and this is one of the reasons why I think this book is better than it is, because it's quite a good device. Because basically you press it, and it's what you do is you press it when you've got an opponent, and then some alien, it's a different alien each time I think, takes that opponent to a different dimension, and then you have to pay them with a weapon or 2 pieces of armor, and if you can't pay them, then they'll take you to another dimension. So it's a bit like a one-hit kill against certain opponents, but as long as you can pay them. And this is why I think Space Assassin is better than most people think, because it's very hard to actually find the other half of the pan-dimensional homing device. It's stuck in the planet bit, and there's actually a really good death paragraph for the pan-dimensional homing device as well, because I don't know, did you find the sort of black spheres in a room that were sort of floating around?
I did not, no.
Well, think of them as spheres of annihilation from Dungeons and Dragons, but space spheres of annihilation, because we're going for space. If you try and use the pan-dimensional homing device on that, because you've got rid of 77 of them, they actually say it's sphere of annihilation. You didn't even bother changing the name. So there we go. So the death paragraph is you get transported to a place, and there's a little note that says, since you can't pay for it, we're going to leave you here. And then there's a really funny bit at the end, because they sign off with a little sorry, which I thought was quite funny, because so
the aliens apologize for abandoning you in another dimension.
Exactly. And the thing is, I think that's quite a good ending. But
I like that.
Yeah, so there you go. But no one's ever going to find that ending, because no one's ever going to find the other half of the pan-dimensional homing device, which is in the. I can't even remember. I didn't find it on my playthrough. So, yeah. So I think one of the reasons why this book is better than it is because all the good bits are hidden away very well.
Okay, you get another point for that. I like that.
Oh, thank you. Right. Oh, good. I'm on a roll. So I killed the alien, the robots. I found a man in a pod who told me to say I don't know if I ever met the robots pilots. And then I had a.
Yes, that was at the brig, wasn't it?
Yes, you probably. It's quite an easy room to come across. It's like one of the first rooms.
Yeah, it was right next to the airlock. It makes me wonder what Cyrus does to his prisoners.
Well, yes, I found another one. He does very nasty things to his prisoners. Usually genetically engineer them to do to look horrible and probably feel worse.
See, I have questions about the layout of the ship. Because you have the brig right next to our way in, which for me was the airlock, which is a fairly easy way for prisoners to escape, presuming they've got can arrange a shuttle to get out or something. I'd have put it next to the security bay.
That is a good point. Yes, you're right. So the ship doesn't make much sense. I'll give you that as well. Yeah.
So that's
yes.
That's me got a point now.
Yes. Yeah. Let's do points. So yeah, that's true. So anyone could just I've just hitched a lift on out of there. Yeah.
So we
Exactly.
find the prisoner. He's an old wounded prisoner, and tells me to be careful with the ship's pilot. I've noted he doesn't tell me anything useful, like don't go into the next cell because there's a nasty little monster that will chew part of your armor off.
That is true.
So I went into the next cell and encountered a nasty little monster that chewed part of my armor off.
Exactly. And he calls it an imp.
Yes.
And the more I'm reading this, the more I'm realizing how he hasn't bothered to change the names of some of these to
Space imp.
yeah, spacing. I mean, yeah, you could just stick the word space in front of it. That's fine. That'll do for most of it. But yeah. So it chewed my armor off as well because I forgot completely about that.
I would very much have liked for him to just like tell me that there was an imp in the next cell.
You'd expect that's the sort of thing he'd know because they might have been put in the cells together.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So there we go.
But
Yes.
nevertheless, lots of interesting things in the cells, and then something weird happened for me. But let's see what happened for you. What happened next in your playthrough?
So I found some graffiti that says "I hate Cyrus," which is a dead end. But then I came back. I then found some Fosniks, which are basically rat people, who I threatened, and they and forced them to strip for some reason.
Yes, that happened to me as well. I presumed that they were scientists because they were wearing lab coats.
Yes, they do say that. They say that they're but humble scientists. I just like to point out that the forcing them to strip is not a choice that you make. You have to do that.
Yeah, it was a bit odd. Yeah, they begged me not to kill them. I agreed, and then for some reason the book told me that I made them strip. I don't know why.
Well, there we go. I guess. Well, the more I go through this book, the more I think that the assassin's not that great at their job, because. In the previous room, actually, the guard robot. Did you try to speak to the guard robot before you attacked it?
Oh God, no! It was a guard robot.
Well, that's very logical. If you do try to speak to the guard robot tries to shoot at you first. But for some reason, you start the sentence with "I say," and then you get cut off by the shots.
I say, how rude!
Yes. So
I say, please lower those guns. I'm just trying to be civil. Oh dear.
Yes. So yeah, I think so. There's these little jokes that Andrew Chapman's put in, which I don't think everyone finds, but yeah, I thought that was quite funny.
That is awesome. I like that.
Yes. So yes, I found the Fosniks as well. Did we both go through the security door with their key?
I did take their key and I went into a secured area, which I presumed would be one of the laboratories, because they were scientists. But instead it took me into a kitchen.
Yes, I found that. And then you go out the kitchen and go to an inspection point.
But I did find some food pills, which were called energy pills.
Yes.
Yeah, all in the space future, all meals come in pill form.
Yeah, exactly. That's what everyone thought in the 80s, didn't they?
You have to eat an entire cereal bowl for breakfast every morning.
Yes.
They're very crunchy.
Yeah, yes.
I just noted on my book, everything is pills now.
Yes, you don't start with provisions, you start with pills, and yes, you get more pills from this kitchen. So yes, that is a very sort of 1960s to 1980s view of the future, the meal pill.
So I definitely give it points for your entire meal being pills.
Yes, that was good. Although they're better than fantasy meals because they restore 5 stamina points. So they've obviously improved their sort of nutritional science there. Well, there. That's progress.
I hear that in the future, medication is also given in pill form.
That is true. Yes. Exactly. What?
In either case, my character's stamina was still pretty high, so I didn't bother taking any of the pills. But I did then run into a security robot who asked to see my ID.
Exactly. Yes. And I tried to bluff it, which was silly.
I was hoping to use the ID that I'd stolen from the Naked Scientists.
Yes.
We do have to refer to them now as the Naked Scientists.
That is true. That is true. Oh, another prediction of the future, because we do have the Naked Scientist podcast.
Yes.
Maybe they're actually rat people. I mean, you never see them, so they could be.
Possibly. Maybe we're rat people.
Possibly. Who knows?
So yeah, I also hoped to hand over my security pass. It didn't really give me the option. It just asked if I wanted to try and bluff it. I tried this and the robot shot me. Exactly.
Yeah, same with me. I'd just like to point out this robot. I don't know if Andrew Chapman was trying to go for a joke here. It's a tripedal robot, and it has a pair of electric lashes projecting from its chest. So that was a joke that went over my head as a child, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was a joke, but it might have been a joke. I'm not sure in this case.
Do you want to explain the joke to anyone who's listening?
I might want to. Well, I might. It reminded. Well, when I played it later, it reminded me of Fembots from Austin Powers, with their machine guns coming out of their chests. So that's.
Wait, and you're thinking that that's where the electric whip tendrils are?
Well, that's the image I have. Obviously, when I was about 10 and playing it, I had no idea about that. But now, as a
we're going to need to find someone for you to talk to about this.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
I swear, if anyone does any artwork for it, please don't share it with us.
Exactly. Yeah. I need to stop buying sort of the electronics monthly magazines.
Oh dear.
Anyway, yes. Should we move on from my issues?
Yeah. Then something weird happened, and I don't know if this is just me, but I was asked if I wanted to examine the smouldering ruin of the robot, and in the process, I found a security safe hidden somewhere in the room.
Yes. Oh yes, I found that as well, and I got the right order. Now
I'm confused because I was searching the robot, and then I found a safe somewhere else in the room.
Yeah, it says by its feet, so I guess you were searching the robot and then found the safe underneath it.
I have issues with this safe, but we'll get to that.
Yes, did you survive the safe?
I did not.
Yes. So, yes, the safe is booby-trapped with a gravity bomb, which sets off if you press the wrong order. I think I know what your issue is. My
issue is that the book didn't give me the chance to leave the bloody thing alone.
That is a good point. That's not the issue I was expecting. That is true, because you could just say, I've played a fighting fantasy book before, I'm not going to press some random buttons.
Yeah, I didn't want to press any of the buttons. Instead it said there are 3 buttons on it, you have to press 1.
Yes, and then
it killed me because it wouldn't let me choose none. I have issues with that particular save. Very specifically that one save. 3 buttons are on the safe.
Yes. Yeah, the 3 buttons. 2 of them will kill you if you press them. So I'm not surprised that you died.
No, I want to point out 2 of them won't kill you. 2 of them will take you to passages that just say turn to other section.
Yes.
So they both loop around. And when you read that, it takes you to a section which simply tells you turn to another section.
That is true.
I hate that.
That is true. And when you, yes, well, yeah, I admit that is a bit rubbish because the death paragraph's only 3 lines long. So
At least put something in the text that directs you to turn to this other section. At least saying like, you push the button, turn to other section.
Exactly. Yes, that is lazy. It is literally say turn to 337. I mean, he could have just copied and pasted. He could have just copied and pasted the death section into the other section.
That would have been fine.
Yes, but he's making you work for it. He's making you work just to find out that you just end up dying. It does it for both of them.
Roundabout way, it is. I don't know if it's for both of them. That's what happened with my one.
Oh no! I'll just check. Yes, it's both the wrong ones. Tell you to go to another section,
and then they direct you back to the same section, don't they?
Yes, both to 337, which is yes. So
but what about the other button?
So the other button. Oh, should we say which button you press first?
You go for it.
So you press the red one first, and then you have to press one of the other two. So if you press the blue one, then you die, and it tells you to just turn to the 337 again. So that's not very helpful. So you press the red one, then you press the green one, and then since you only have the blue one left to press, you don't have to get a section for that. And the reason you die is because the safe is booby trapped with a gravity bomb, and the safe opens to reveal what do you think you get in your safe.
I don't know. This gave me like 5 different. How many buttons do I need to press in order to get this right?
We have to press the first 2 right, and then the third one. So because there's no clue, you have a 1 in 3 chance, and then a 1 in 2 chance. So,
and just to be clear, we have to do the safe if we look at the robots. Like
that's true. Yes, you weren't expecting a safe.
I hate that safe.
That is true. That is a horrible safe. Well, you're gonna hate.
What do we find inside it? It better be good.
The only thing that's in the safe is the gravity bomb that was booby trapping the safe.
What?
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you at least get to take the bomb with you?
You do. You at least get to take the gravity bomb with you, which is good. Which is a consolation.
Hate that safe.
It is. Yeah. It's the worst. It's the world's worst safe. So yeah.
I hate that safe, and you have to do it. Well, I don't know if you have to do it.
If you wouldn't be expecting to find the safe. You were just inspecting the debris of a robot.
I'm never investigating robot debris ever again.
No, exactly, because there might be a safe underneath it.
Thus ended my space assassin.
Oh, well, I guess this points to how incompetent the space assassin is, because there's some kind of space assassin who, when they see some buttons, they have to press them, which I think is a terrible quality in a space assassin, or terrible quality in anyone who goes in space at all. I'm sure that's like day 1 of astronaut training.
Don't push that button.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, they're going to be sitting in front of loads of buttons in a space shuttle or something, and yeah, that's the last thing you want them to do. So, if you live in space, you probably get told not to push buttons when you're a toddler. But obviously, this space assassin didn't get told that. So
this is the worst thing.
I never thought about that. I never thought that you should have the option to leave the buttons alone. That is
definitely leave the buttons alone.
Exactly. Yes. There's no clue. You don't get any clue. So you just have it works out as 1 in 6, 1 in 3 for the first one, and 1 in 2 for the second one.
So providing you don't look at the robots like smouldering ruins, or you're lucky enough to find this, like the exact combination for the safe, what transpires next? Because it was at that point that I died.
Yes. There's a few things that will just mention quickly. You get the chance to read some books on various things, which might help later. So either robotics or neurotoxins or squids or mollusks. You then get to meet some squirrels called the cephalo squirrels, which is a clue as to what they...
Cephalo, like aquatic?
Cephalo is in like your head, like the dinosaur Pachycephalosaurus means hard-headed reptile.
Oh, are they giant-headed squirrels?
They're quite giant-headed. They're clever squirrels. It's a clue as to what they do later, because if you feed one and capture one and feed one, then it starts having a conversation with a highly intelligent creature later, and then you can sneak past this creature.
Why did I miss this?
That this was after the bomb.
But this sounds so much better.
It does, yes. It's better than pressing random buttons. So, yeah, they're very good. The cephalo squirrels, and you've got to get the right order. You've got to catch them and feed them, and not eat their fruit because it kills humans and humanoids. Yeah. So you catch a cephalo squirrel, which are very brainy, but they just fall asleep on you. You don't hear how brainy they are unless you come across the Zark, I think it's called.
So you carry these hyper-intelligent squirrels around with you?
Well, yeah, you have one of them that's fallen asleep on your shoulder. This
sounds awesome.
Oh, there you go. Well, it's...
I immediately want one of these.
Well, yes. They'll be great. They'll be great companions. They can have a little conversation with you about philosophy or something.
Providing I don't accidentally blow myself up on the safe.
Exactly. Yes.
They could possibly warn me, by the way, leave that safe alone.
Yes. Well, yes. I think that was common sense. I think the assassin just doesn't have common sense, basically. So there we go. Oh, and I died quite soon after the cephalo squirrel, actually, because after them you come across some more buttons, which you have the option of pressing. You have 2 buttons, and you have the option of pressing both at the same time, or the other one. So if you press the left one or both at the same time, you end up falling onto a planet. There's a little natural area that Cyrus has kept in his spaceship, which is basically like a wilderness. You have this little side quest where you wander around a wilderness.
Oh, like a artificial environment, like a biome.
Yeah, like a biome, and there's cliffs and plains and various other things, and a forest. Inside the ship, yeah.
That sounds awesome. Why is that not closer to the start of this adventure?
Because Andrew Chapman took all the good stuff and he hid it away, because it's purely optional. There's not much on it. I mean, there's the other half of the pan-dimensional homing device in the wilderness bit.
The cool thing is hidden in the awesome place.
Exactly, which is completely optional. So if you actually want to assassinate or capture Cyrus, you can just avoid it. So yes, I remember doing this adventure and finishing it really quickly when I found out the true thing, and I missed all the awesome things.
The true thing?
The what? Sorry, the true path, or the quickest path, because you can just wander around the wilderness and then get out the wilderness and then just go back onto the true path again. So it's purely like this side thing, so because I knew which button to press and I knew it was a side thing, I pressed the right hand button, where I got attacked by some cleaners who promptly killed me, because this is another issue. Well, this is an issue that the book has, and I don't know if Andrew Chapman did it deliberately, but one of the cleaners had a skill of 9, which is the highest skill of a creature in the book, and I think that Cyrus has missed a trick with this cleaner, because the guard robots all had a skill of 7, and this cleaner's better at combat than any guard robot I came across.
I mean, to be fair, if you're hiring a cleaner for your spaceship, you want them to be able to handle any situation.
True. Well, these did. They killed me because I only had a skill of 7. So I died. I got killed by cleaners. One with a skill of 8, one with a skill of 9, and then the last one had a skill of 7, but I never got round to that one. So I died by cleaners who are much better at combat than any of the combat members of the crew.
When you say cleaners, I'm just presuming that they're wielding phaser mops and laser buckets. I don't know. I kind of lost that train there.
It's not. It's futuristic, but it's not even lasers. They say vacuum cleaner sucking and a hydrovac spewing vapors and steam. So you get clobbered over the head with a vacuum cleaner and then steamed to death. So there's 3 cleaners. 2 of them look like small cat people, and one of them looks like. When I say he's a carrot top, I don't mean he's got ginger hair. I mean he's literally got a head that's shaped like a carrot.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What?
So there we go.
No, you've mentioned that there is a route through this adventure, and that you have solved it quite a few times in the past, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
So let's see how do you navigate your way through and bring Cyrus to justice?
Well, if you get past the cleaners, you then need to come across the Zark, which I did on my second attempt, and the Zark asks you a question, which is the easiest way to get past it.
Remind me what's the Zark?
Is it the Zark? I'm just going to check for his name. Oh yes, it's Zark. So he's wearing armor and has a disintegrator. He's kind of looks like he's got a pig snout, but you can't see much of his face.
Oh, the Zark's the alien or the mutant?
He's an alien.
Okay.
And they're supposed to be highly intelligent, super intelligent. And like all super intelligent guards, he seems to let you through if you prove yourself just as intelligent, which, to be fair, I think is a terrible quality in a guard, because I think guards are just supposed to guard and not sort of forgo their duties.
You'd think that, wouldn't you?
You know, it's like, oh well, I know you're here to steal the crown jewels, but you know you're a good bloke, so you know, hop on in. And that doesn't happen. That I know of. I've not tried to steal the crown jewels. So there we go. Or you know, you don't get bouncers at clubs sort of asking you trivia questions if you're wearing trainers and then letting you in, because you might be wearing trainers, but you knew the sort of capital of Egypt or whatever. So you know that's fine. There we go. So yeah, on my second attempt, I got to the Zark and I used the Cephalo Squirrel, which was a mistake because there are 3 doors past the Zark, and you have to go through the center one. And the fact that I distracted the Zark meant that he didn't open it for me, and I had to use a gravity bomb to open it, which I didn't have. So I had to take the right-hand door because the left-hand door leads to death. And the right-hand door leads to another thing that I think is pretty awesome, but completely avoidable, which is a tank battle.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, the mechanics are sort of there. There's a whole set of rules which you see at the back, and you basically drive around this area, and you get status points, and the status points determine where the enemy tank is, and then you basically shoot at each other when you see each other, and you have to win to carry on in the adventure.
This sounds awesome.
It is. I like it, and it's something Andrew Chapman did in the duel book that you do when you're the 2 princes, and if you're playing solo, you get a status score for that. So if you turn up at a location, then if your status score is a certain value, then the other prince is at the location as well, and then different things happen.
I remember
compared to if you're on your own. Yeah. So it's a bit like that. So I've not really worked out what he did, but basically you go to a location on the map, and if your status score is a certain value, then the enemy tank will be there, and then you can try and shoot at it. And if it's not, then you carry on moving around. But once again, it's completely avoidable. Andrew Chapman just seemed to take all the good stuff and put it in bits that are either really well hidden or bits that you don't need to do at all.
Maybe this is like your reward for exploring.
Yes. Yeah, it is a good reward. Yes, it might be like that. Yes. It doesn't really give you anything useful, but it's a good reward, and it's a nice little diversion. So I got to there on my second one, but then I died because if you win the tank battle, this creature called a toroid, which is like a donut with teeth, kills you if you don't kill it in 3 rounds. So that's what happened. So yes, but then I tried on my third attempt. I actually managed to capture Cyrus.
Yes.
So,
how does that go around?
So that goes. So I walk past the spheres. I answer a lot of random questions from these funny little robot things, which I won't spoil. Well, no, I will spoil. Actually,
Yes, please,
one of the questions made me angry. Firstly, you have to just walk through the spheres and try not to dodge them. And then secondly, you get these random little robots asking you questions. And the first one asks a question, which is faster, light or time? Which didn't bother me as a kid, but now I've studied some physics. Time doesn't have a speed, so I got really annoyed because time's time. Time's a sort of axis with space and the fourth dimension. And time is faster than light according to this. So there we go. You're just basically giving nonsense answers to nonsense questions. So you have to say that time is faster than light. You have to say they're not real, that the world's not real and everything's an illusion. And then you have to be honest and tell them that you're trying to find Cyrus, and they just let you through and start talking about what they'll do if Cyrus gets captured and they don't have a job anymore. So once again, the guards are terrible. Yes. I just like to point out that the cleaners have done a much better job at killing me than any guard in this book.
It does sound like it. It sounds like they've probably got the better unit.
Well, yes, exactly. They certainly know where they stand, and hopefully, I hope they got paid overtime for that actually, because that probably doesn't come under their duties. They probably get their rep to sort of get them a bit of extra pay for killing the space assassin.
So tell us about capturing Cyrus himself.
Yes, so Cyrus is he's a scientist, but he's not a sort of super duper combat fighting type person. Like, he's not like Balthus Dyer, who can do both magic and fight. So he tries to talk you out of capturing him, and basically you just have to not listen to him. So first he offers you a drink, and then he says, can we play some cards? And then he tries to tell you that he's got a device that fires an armor-piercing dart, and they're all bluffs, or they're all ways to try and escape. And then, so if you ignore that, then he escapes through a secret passageway, and then you follow him. And while you've been following him, he's in this sort of, I'm going to say exoframe, or what else could it? Mecha is in a mech, I guess, which is called a Waldo, and then you have a bit of a harder combat, but it's not too hard because it's skill 9, stamina 12.
So he's about as tough as one of the cleaners.
Yeah, basically, he is about as tough as one of the cleaners. He's got the same skill as one of the cleaners, and a bit higher stamina. So he's probably your hardest combats, with the cleaners being the second hardest combats in the book. And then if you capture him, you win. and then there's a bit of the book which I really can't defend, so I'm not going to bother. It's the
That's so reassuring.
well, it's the ending.
Go on. What's the ending? I remember I have not got to the end of this one yet.
I'll read the whole ending, which should give you a clue. The problem is, you drag the unconscious Cyrus from the Waldo, which is the robot he's been in. Your mission is a complete success. Congratulations. The end.
What?
There you go. I know.
Okay. So you have won.
Yes. That seems to be what it is, but he doesn't really dwell on it, does he? He doesn't really make it unambiguous. You've won. Yeah. Well done.
Yeah. Okay, so Stuart, you have nominated this as one of your favorite Final Fantasy books, maybe.
Yeah, is it my favorite? I nominated it because I wanted to defend it. I wanted to tell everyone that it's better than everyone thinks.
Why is it better than the reputation? What is it that sets this one above? Let's make this plead the case. Go for it.
So the case is there's lots of really good set pieces, but you just can't find them very easily. And that's the case. So there's the pan-dimensional homing device, where you get these little strange aliens asking you for money and weapons and armor, or sending you to a void and then apologizing. There's the world that you can explore, which is quite nice. Might get a bit tedious with the compass points, but that's good. There's the sort of funny little jokes when you say "I say." And then there's other things which I haven't even mentioned yet, like if you shoot the pilot of the ship, which is a robot, he says, "What a strange person," and then bursts into flames. Because the pilot's got all philosophical, so he sort of, yes, which you might not see because that's on a route, because that's not the optimal route. You're supposed to be friends with the pilot, so you probably won't see these things because they're not the things you're supposed to do to win. And then there's other little things, like I found the head of a robot that kept on offering me alien cocktails, and that reminded me of the talkie toaster from Red Dwarf, and I thought that was quite funny.
Talkie toaster.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a legend.
Right. Okay. So that's a fairly good like reason to give Space Assassin another quick read, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, just do anything possible to not go on the winning path, and you'll probably find something interesting. Basically.
Shall we do our scores?
Yes. Would you like to go first?
I will happily give this one 2.5 stars. Is it stars we're doing? 2.5 points.
We're changing every week. I think stars is appropriate for space, I guess. So we could
2.5 energy type pills.
Yeah, 2.5 energy pills.
2.5 safes, exploding safes, unavoidable, destroying, hyper intelligent squirrels.
Yes, that'll be good. 2.5 hyper intelligent squirrels. Good.
Cool. Because you pleaded the case really, really well, and all of those additional little parts will definitely add a lot to this. So I've bumped it up by a whole point.
Oh wow, excellent! Oh, I'm glad that worked. Well, I was also going to give it 2.5 stars actually, because even though there's good bits, so I'm now explaining why I'm doing. There are some things I can't avoid, like the ending, and the idea that you can't avoid pressing the buttons on a safe and probably dying from that. So yes, so I'm giving it 2.5 because there are good bits. It just didn't quite live up to the potential of what it could have been.
You know what that means? That puts it slap bang 5 out of 10.
Yeah. There we go.
There we go. Okay, so not too shabby. Space Assassin better than the sum of its, well, better because of the sum of its parts.
Well, yes, exactly. it's got parts that are good, just not the parts that you've probably seen. So there we go.
Okay, so what do we have on the queue for next week?
Yes, so next week, it's another one of mine. So we did 2 of yours, and now we're doing 2 of mine. It's Daggers of Darkness.
I will be completely honest with you, I like Daggers of Darkness.
Good. So do I. And I thought I'd do it because it's 35, which is probably right in the middle of the series now. There's probably 70 books, so it probably doesn't get as much press from people online, because if they do a playthrough, they probably don't reach it because it's halfway through. So,
although
yes.
It does, to be fair, have one of the most memorable covers.
It does. I wonder if that's even possible, what they're doing on the cover.
Shall we describe the cover of Daggers of Darkness, which contains a Mongolian barbarian who seems to be wielding a death mace whip weapon of some sort, and his trusty eagle companion jet skiing across a river. Yes, he's got his trusty eagle companion flying with him, and he's wielding the death mace with his trusty eagle companion whilst surfing on 2 saber-toothed tigers. Yes.
And holding the reins with one hand while he's holding the mace with the other. And he has an eye patch, which means his depth perception probably isn't that great either. And they're in a river.
Yes. When I say jet skiing, they are literally jet skiing saber-toothed tigers.
Exactly. I mean, it's
if
brilliant.
If you've seen this cover, you want to buy the book.
Exactly. That is an awesome thing. It makes you wish saber-toothed tigers were still around, so you could do this.
Yes.
And it could maybe it could have been in the Olympics. So
join us in a week's time, where we will be hopefully playing the jet skiing tiger Olympics in Daggers of Darkness.
Brilliant. Looking forward to it.
Lovely. Well, thank you for joining us, and tune in again next week for another episode of the podcast of Firetop Mountain. The podcast from Firetop Mountain is brought to you by our Patreon supporters. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe, ring the bell and do all the other things you need to do in order to get another season of the podcast from Firetop Mountain.